today I want to discuss hashtag Recast T'Challa, a movement that has made significant strides in the past few months. I think on several occasions that I've seen getting to trend top 10 in the United States, which is significant. And one of you recently asked me to lend my voice to this or to comment on it, and I'm happy to do so because I'm very supportive of this, and I think I do see a way forward. So I want to do in this video is to break down the situation Marvel finds itself in, the realities of that situation, and what can still be done at this point going forward with T'Challa. Now, as I understand it, and I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below, Recast T'Challa, the movement, is based on two main points. One, major characters are recast all the time in movies. Why is T'Challa, the star of $1 billion picture and over 700 million domestic, any different? And two, strong black male characters in the blockbuster space, no less, are important role models, especially to children, and should be maintained. I think those are two excellent points, and they give the Recast T'Challa movement real weight. Now let's discuss Marvel's position and the realities of it. So first off, the MCU is one continuous story, going for more than a decade now, which is incredible, and I think a major cornerstone of its success. We're invested in it now, right? When other franchises stop and start, people can get on or off the train. But we've been riding this thing since day one. It's incredible. Very few characters over the course of that time have been recast, and all of them were either done in the very early days of the MCU when they were still finding their footing and perfecting their casting. And then also characters in later cases had those characters being recast, like Cassie Lang, they hadn't really been established yet. So recasting them isn't that noticeable. When James Bond has gotten recast, or Superman or Batman, the franchise in those instances has been rebooted. Now, recasting T'Challa at this point in the MCU, because it's not being rebooted, the MCU isn't being rebooted, would be almost impossible to do organically. And for everyone who wants T'Challa to be recast, I would suspect that there are others who would find it offensive to Chadwick Boseman's memory and the iconic career-defining work that he did establishing the character. But thankfully, Marvel has developed themselves another option, and that, of course, is a variant. They could easily introduce a T'Challa variant, which would very well fit into the MCU mythology. And my pick would be Raised by Wolves, Abu Bakr Salim. He would be perfect, actually. He'd be so good. Share your casting ideas down below for a T'Challa variant. However, here's where things get complicated, because you might be like, well, then why aren't we getting a variant? Well, here's why. You need to understand the timing. Ryan Coogler closed his deal to write and direct Black Panther 2 in October 2018 and immediately began working on the script with the release date set in August 2019. It recently moved because of the situation with they've had some production issues as well with Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, so everyone's shifted a little bit. So finally, Black Panther had to move off of it's actually been moved back twice now. Now it's in November. So it's been moved back twice because of basically the pandemic and other issues. But anyway, at the time, they had a release date they were working towards, and they're still within the same year. And Ryan Coogler had already completed a draft of the screenplay when Chadwick Boseman tragically passed away 1 year after the release date had been announced. Now, because nobody knew that Chadwick Boseman had colon cancer, and Chadwick Boseman was such an amazing individual, not only was Marvel already in the thick of pre-production and working towards the set release date at the point of his death, but because it was a surprise, Chadwick Boseman's creative partners were emotionally, and understandably, we all were devastated by his death. So here they were, forced to be making big creative business decisions while still emotionally reeling, right? So I think that while Marvel on one hand was worried about fan backlash to recasting T'Challa, especially fresh off of his death, I suspect that Coogler and company, and I believe they've spoken to this in some interviews in the last couple of months, they just couldn't do it from a loyalty perspective to recast Chadwick Boseman, which I think is totally understandable. Now, there are rumors that Black Panther Wakanda Forever will feature an extended funeral for T'Challa, a way for Coogler, when you think about it, and company and the MCU at large, and fans, to say goodbye to Chadwick Boseman in the context of the franchise that made him a global name. If that's indeed true about this funeral, how will a funeral, especially a lavish extended one, play more than 2 years after Chadwick Boseman's death. This is an interesting wrinkle. We'll have to see how audiences potentially feel about that element in Black Panther Wakanda Forever. And since the film is just restarted production as we speak because of an injury and perhaps other issues for Letitia Wright, they could still make some, I don't think they're going to make extensive changes, but they could still make some changes in editing and see how things test. One of the things that audiences liked most about the first Black Panther was its positivity and that it looked forward, right? So that's something Marvel will have to consider. And so that's something to think about. If there is a funeral scene, would that be considered, you have to time it just right because you want to make sure that that the sequel maintains the same feeling, right? I mean, I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on this. It's going to be tricky. It's going to be very tricky, but if anyone can pull it off, it's Ryan Coogler, and I hope people also cut him some slack because he finds himself in a very unique and difficult situation because he's also personally, emotionally invested. He's personally selected Chadwick Boseman, but he's not only an incredible filmmaker, but a very savvy one. He's a smart guy. Now, as for Black Panther, the mantle, the comics offer a very clear answer for what to do in the wake of T'Challa's his death, or it was turned out, he came back eventually in the comics. But that's to pass the mantle to Shuri, right? Now, audiences loved the strong Black female characters in the first Black Panther movie, although Letitia Wright, who was a fan favorite, has run into a lot of problems PR-wise to date, particularly regarding the vaccine. But we don't know how fans really feel about that. We know how social media feels, but we've not been able, I don't think anyone's been able to get a read on how that trickles over to ticket sales, right? But I also would say that no one can deny that Letitia Wright is incredibly talented. She just did some voice work and sing too, and I was like, she's so good. She's so good. Now, there are going to be a lot of strong Black female characters in Black Panther Wakanda Forever, including some new ones that have been confirmed by Marvel, as well as rumored LGBT representation. But don't worry, Black Panther Wakanda Forever will be a very well-balanced movie, also offering strong male representation. You got Tenoch Huerta's Namor, right? Who is as alpha male as they come, right? So fierce. Audiences are going to be blown away by him and his underground Mayan-influenced underwater world, this new corner of the MCU. And then there's M'Baku, an audience favorite. And the Hollywood Reporter recently reported that Winston Duke got a substantial pay raise for a role that's going to be significantly expanded. Marvel had no comment. And don't forget rumors that Killmonger will make a cameo as well. So this story for the sequel is pretty set, with rumors that T'Challa has passed away, rumors that we will see his funeral, and rumors that the Black Panther legend will no matter what, find a way to live on. It's important to note that the title of the film is Wakanda Forever, emphasis on Wakanda, right? Its people, its culture, its technology, its legends. And I think one of the most amazing things about the movie is that it has willed Wakanda almost into real life existence. Build it an animal kingdom, for Pete's sake. I think many of us really want to go to Wakanda. It's not just at the movies, but for Disney to find a way for us to be able to do it in real life. It's just really an incredible accomplishment. That's why I felt that Black Panther was deserving of its Oscar nominations. All right, but I'm sure Marvel will be making plenty more Black Panther movies going forward. And, the mantle could pass to different people, right? And I think that a variant T'Challa going forward for the franchise would be a great way to make everyone happy, right? Why can't the family of Wakanda also feature a variant T'Challa? I think it's a great idea. Now, I haven't heard anything specifically about a T'Challa variant in the works, but Black Panther Wakanda Forever is about 10 months out, right? So if the Recast T'Challa movement keeps going strong, right? Who's to say we couldn't get an end credit scene featuring a T'Challa variant? I mean, Wakanda is a technological empire, so if anyone can find a way to hop universes a la the TVA, it's variant Shuri, who could send her brother through to explore. So with some time having passed since Chadwick Boseman's tragic death, and you've had time to process it, how do you feel about Recast T'Challa today versus how you felt at the time? I'm very curious to hear about the evolution of your thoughts on this. Would you be happy with the T'Challa variant? And who do you think, again, should play him? And how does Black Panther Wakanda Forever sound to you based on these rumors? How would you today advise Ryan Coogler and company to balance things out? What do you think is the right balance to paying respects to Chadwick Boseman while still keeping the positivity and forward-looking feel of the original movie? It's going to be very interesting. I'm very interested. I can't wait for this film. Love the first one. All right, so share those thoughts down below. Subscribe today. And of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.